This morning, we're discussing the arrest of Honorable Mohamed Bangura, member of the opposition All People's Congress Party. Of course, press releases from civil society groups have asked for the disclosure of place of detention and access to legal representation for those who were arrested during the August 10 violent act. So this morning, we have with us in the studio lawyer Lansana Doumbouya, who is a member of the All People's Congress Party. Good morning and welcome to Wake Up Sierra Leone.
Good morning.
All right, we are also expecting Melvin Tijan Mansare, who is a parliamentary correspondent, to join the conversation, and Alhaji Marcos Bangura, a civil society activist. But let's start off with you, Lawyer Doumbouya. We've seen a lot have happened in the past weeks, and we have about a few months for 2023 elections. Given an assessment of the democratic space, where would you put it?
For me, as a lawyer first, a human rights lawyer, and also as a politician, it is time for us in Sierra Leone. We've moved past so many hurdles in the political life of the country. It is time for us to move from one step to the other. And that is the step where we're able to accommodate each other, and we must be able to engage in politics in a very, very honest manner, in a manner that will be beneficial to the people of Sierra Leone. As it is now, the political atmosphere is not really good for politics to thrive. And it is disappointing as a human rights lawyer. It is a fundamental human right enshrined in the Universal Declaration and also in the International Covenant of Civil and Political Rights, and also in the African Charter for Human and People's Rights, and many other human rights treaties and conventions, that everybody, no matter who you have a right to be engaged in electing members who will represent you in parliament. So automatically, it means you have a right to be engaged in politics. It is a human right. It is not like it is something that is a privilege. It is a human right recognized by the international regime. And it must be done in an atmosphere of friendship. It does not mean because someone is in PMDC, NGC, SLPP, APC, therefore, we must have some kind of acrimony, against each other. Politics come and go. The development of the country is another story altogether. And politics is really for us to be able to develop the country. So we must do so with the utmost civil, civil attitude that it deserves.
Let me ask this question. I mean, having established that, the state of affairs currently with regards to politics and governance in Sierra Leone, you belong to a political party that has been accused of perpetuating violence. I mean, it appears that the APC is synonymous to violence. I mean, if we go by all the accusations at the moment. Already, we've seen members of the party arrested in during the by-election conducted in Putloko, the Sama Bendugu by-election. And in relation to that, we've seen the arrest and detention of Honorable Mohamed Bangura, who is still, I think, in detention, I stand to be corrected, since last Friday when he was detained. Now, with all of those things and the recent happening in the east of the country's capital and other parts of the north, the APC is said to have been I mean, the benefactor, the sponsor, the financier of all of these violent acts in the country. First off, what does the party make of that?
Firstly, the issue of perpetrating violence at Sama Bendugu and in other areas, I can tell you that that narrative is complete garbage. And I say this not with any disrespect, but it is time for us in Sierra Leone to call things by their right name. We in the APC, the administration, of course, I am not here today in respect of the administration, but I am aware, and you are also aware, and the public is aware, that the Sama Bendugu elections was an elections for a member of parliament. And the campaign was scheduled, the campaign dates was scheduled for each political party. And the day that you are talking about was a day that the APC was supposed to rally, to do its campaign, to mobilize and see how they can gather support from the community. And the APC was there to do that. And in the process, I do not know, but my information was that the vice president was there.
Right.
Okay, that is still not a problem. If the vice president was there, the vice president was doing his own thing. He was there to do his own thing. That does not mean that the APC should not be able to conduct its rallying exercise. The APC was trying to do its own thing, that is
as a party,
because that was a day scheduled for the APC.
And what if in a situation, I mean, in fact, as I've already advanced by observers and other people, that the vice president was there for a state function, and so the vice president was given the day.
No. If the vice president was there for a state function and he was given the day, that ought to have been communicated to the party. If it had been communicated to the party, then I believe, and I can say, I am assured now, and I am fully confident that the party would have complied with the directives given. But no such thing was given. So let's forget about all the intricacies. If the vice president was there, he can be doing his own thing, and the party can also do whatever it was required to do that day.
In a society where red and green cannot meet, how does that work?
No. You see, that is the problem, because we are not ready to be tolerant to each other, irrespective of whatever political ideas we may be holding on to. What is wrong if the president was there to do some other state matters, and also the APC, that was the day assigned to the APC. The APC could have conducted its activities peacefully, and then the vice president would be doing his own thing peacefully. There need not to be a clash between the two. And I believe there are some certain authorities that may have fermented this kind of thing, that may have created something where there was nothing.
Authorities on whose parts? The APC?
No, I'm talking about state functionaries.
So you're saying the state?
Because communication is vital. The state security apparatus may have been in a position to be able to make sure that the vice president was doing his own thing, and then the APC party conducting its own affairs. There would have been no problem whatsoever.
So
why was there the barrier? Why was there the barrier?
Well, let me bring you now to the current state of affairs in the sense that are there specific particular of offense for the Honorable Mohamed Bangura, who is still being incarcerated?
Mohamed Bangura is my client. You're talking about Honorable Mohamed Bangura.
Yes.
He was arrested Friday, last Friday. And I was with him. Statements were taken from him. I don't know, but I don't think the charge statement has been taken yet, from him, because some other lawyers were there. Maybe the charge statement has been taken already. But the point at issue is that what they put to him was a clip which is public, for public consumption, was a clip that so many cars went through the barrier, so many cars went through the barrier. And according to him, my client, they said his car was amongst those vehicles. Just because his car was amongst the cars, the vehicles
bulldozed the blockade.
I don't see any bulldozing.
Okay.
I did not see any bulldozing.
Go ahead.
But the vehicles went through. When they went through, Mohamed Bangura's car was there, so they said he hit one of the police officers. But the clip does not show that. It didn't show that Mohamed Bangura hit any police officer. They said he hit a senior police officer on the stomach. This is really the allegation. But there is nothing to prove it except that someone is saying that the man hit me on my stomach with a vehicle. If somebody hits you with a vehicle on your stomach, I'm sure something, maybe even if you are not dead, but something serious must have happened to you. You must have gone to the hospital that day, I mean, this is not something you try to turn the other way. So this is the charge against him, and now he's made his statement. He's a honorable member of parliament, and one would have expected that no matter what, if this person, the so-called person, is still there and is bubbling, working for the state, doing whatever he's doing.
The police officer?
The police officer is there bubbling, doing his state affairs and doing everything. No matter what happened, if he is not fatally injured, Mohamed Bangura ought to have been granted bail. Naturally, because that is a bailable offense. But the problem I see in this country, sometimes it's disappointing. For those of us who are lawyers, we go to the police station, and sometimes, to be honest with you, like I always said, I've always repeated that, you have good policemen and you have those who are not, who play around with their job. But, you have very good police in the country. When you go there, you see certain offenses for which people are entitled to bail. They are not granted bail. The reason will not be communicated to you. But when you dig deep into it, you know somebody somewhere.
Is this a felonious offense? In the sense that, because I want to look at the legality around which the police would be advancing arguments for holding him. I think today is the 8th day.
Yes, exactly. Well, it depends. We have not yet seen the charges proffered against him. If it's section 47 of the Offences Against the Persons Act or 18, well, it depends. Depending on the section,
right,
then you will know whether it is a felonious offense or not. But the point at issue is this. Even if it is a felonious offense, he is still entitled to bail on condition that he complies with the bail conditions that will be given to him. And for goodness sake, sometimes we have to be very serious about the way we conduct the affairs of business of Sierra Leone. We must be very honest to ourselves as Sierra Leoneans. As I used to say to people, we're all Sierra Leoneans, we must be patriotic to Sierra Leone. Honorable Mohamed Bangura is a member of parliament, a honorable member. He's not going to run away. He's not going to run away for that offense. Now he's been incarcerated, detained, simply because he went to Sama Bendugu and they said he assaulted somebody. And the person he assaulted, we don't know the nature of the investigation. Because
I just wanted to ask if you've made any attempt to, take a look at the person who Honorable Mohamed Bangura is accused of eating with a vehicle.
I am trying to get on to him for me to know, because to be honest with you, I do not want to name names here, but the person also is a very good, to me, I take him as a very good policeman, and he's my friend. But the point at issue is this. It's not whether he's my friend or not.
Right.
Is Mohamed Bangura entitled to bail? What is keeping him in detention? His car was not the only car that went through the barrier. Notwithstanding, he was the one that has been, you know, investigated for now. But the point is, he's still entitled to bail. So let us not deviate from that reality.
Has any reason been given for him not
No
granted
reason
bail?
has been given as of now. And I will be going to see him today again. We were hoping that he would have been granted bail yesterday. I was hoping, but he wasn't granted bail. I am hoping today he will be granted bail.
Okay.
He is an honorable member of parliament. So
Okay.
let him be granted bail and he will face the investigations.
All right. Just a quick note. The producer tried getting the Sierra Leone police to respond to this issue for us to know the particular offense and why he's been denied bail. We've not gotten any success yet, but we continue to make a try. The producer is still trying. When we establish contact, we'll definitely get the side of the Sierra Leone police to know exactly why Honorable Mohamed Bangura is still being incarcerated. But let me quickly welcome Alhaji Marcos Bangura, a civil society activist and a rights campaigner. Good morning and welcome, Marcos.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
I'm sure you've been following the issue of violent acts across the country and the arrest and detention of Honorable Mohamed Bangura. Of course, Lawyer Dumbuya has stated what was presented to them as the offense. In fact, a clip was shown where vehicles, well, I would, in my words, bulldozed their way, but Honorable Mohamed Bangura is accused of hitting a police officer with the vehicle. Where are all of these coming, and what's the current state if we are to look at this particular offense and issue?
Yeah, thank you very much. It is very, very important that we discuss issues of this nature for the general public out there to know the circumstances of the time, how the situation is. Because, of course, Mohamed Bangura was arrested on Friday, and today is Thursday. Of course, we have guiding principles, we have laws, and that is why philosophers have said that a state without law or government will be solitary, nasty, brutish, and short, where everybody behaves as he likes. So, in as much as Mohamed Bangura has been arrested, I don't have a problem because he was arrested. But the problem is he has been arrested, and to date, he has been denied bail. And of course, we wanted to know whether the offense is a minor offense or is a serious offense, right? And by the explanation of Mr. Dumbuya, he has brought to light something that is a catalyst for the problems we are facing in this country.
What's that?
He was among many others, but he was actually picked.
Because he's the one accused of hitting a senior police
yes,
officer.
but there was a footage, right? And it did not show, right, the person that he hit at that particular time. So if you take a footage as your source of evidence, right, to say that this person hit an individual, which is an offense by itself,
Yes.
right, is a traffic offense as well. But even at that, he should not be denied bail, right? Our law says 72 hours. If not, if it's a serious offense, it's 10 days.
The more reason I asked Lawyer Dumbuya earlier on, if it's a felonious offense, because the police would still want to advance arguments that it's still within the legal framework that we keep him here. We have up to 10 days, depending on the crime, to have him here.
There is this principle of law that says that justice delayed is justice denied. I see no reason why he shouldn't have been charged, right, from that particular period. And this is a major factor that is affecting huge lots of other people. And that is why when we look at the question of peace, we look at remote causes as well as immediate causes. That is the only way we'll be able to actually usher in peace in the country, right? In whatever circumstances, right, he should have been charged. Despite the fact that, yes, we have 10 days as well as 3 days, but he should have been charged, right? And that particular offense that we are thinking about, right, does not suffice his arrest and detention, taking into consideration of the fact that he is a Sierra Leonean, he is a member of parliament, and of course,
which does not put him above the law.
I don't think. Yes, it is a law, and no man that said it is a law, and not man that is supreme.
Right.
That is why nobody is punishable in both body and property, except for a distinct breach of the laws of the land. But there are thresholds to it. There are thresholds, right? So we want the police, right, to charge him, right? We want to know the particulars of offense, right? Charge the man and let him appear in court. Whereas if he's being held up, right? And, you know, there are a lot of issues that is affecting our nation. It has affected our nation for some time, for quite too long. And there is a need for us to do a U-turn, right?
What are those issues? What are those things that have affected
injustice is a major factor. The question of injustice is a major factor, right? You've seen certain people have been deprived. And let me tell you something. When you dehumanize somebody, he becomes demonic, right? So that is why it is very important that as Sierra Leoneans, right, we should consider ourselves as one people. I always say that, right? One people, one country with one future. I see no reason why politics should become a kind of a disease, you know. So if you look at all the circumstances, all the problems that we have faced, it's as a result of this question of politics. If we go back even before independence, So are you linking politics to this issue? You cannot dissociate it. In the first place, it was a political activity that was going on, right? And according to sources, a day was set for the SLPP and another day was set for the APC. Right? And there are reasons why days are set to avert conflict, because the country is being polarized to an extent that we lack political tolerance. It is only political tolerance. Samuel, I don't need to hate you because you belong to a political party. I should not criminalize your belongingness. That is completely wrong, right? If Mohamed Bangura commits a serious crime, and I hold the view that the law is supreme, he should be punished according to the law. But that is not to say he should be held back, incarcerated, beyond that.
I'm trying to look at almost all of the major politicians being investigated currently in Sierra Leone. And the fact that you were saying all of these things, the problem we are faced with is the toxic politics we practice. Mohamed Mansari is still in detention, even after granted bail, I think about a year ago or so, or some months back. But the court, put out a statement that he has not met the bail conditions. He's still there. The government is priding itself that, this government has no political prisoner. Mohamed Mansari is standing trial for sexual penetration offenses. Now, Mohamed Bangura is there, being investigated for assault. I stand to be corrected, but assault.
Yeah,
assault. Yeah. So where does politics come in all of this? Is it that because Mohamed Bangura came out saying, "Oh, I'm the mouthpiece of Dr. Samuel Kamara" and all of that? So how do we link politics in all of this?
In the first place, it will be very difficult and disingenuous to actually talk about the arrest and detention of Mohamed Bangura without you blending it with politics. Politics plays the very important role, right? We are looking at two things. It's like you look at law and morality, you understand? We are looking at a situation wherein Mohamed Bangura is a Sierra Leonean, and by virtue of him being a Sierra Leonean and an individual, there are laws in the state, and he is subject to the laws of the state, right? We also look at a situation wherein Mohamed Bangura is a politician, and we know that Mohamed Bangura is an individual that has left footprints in the sand of history as far as politics is concerned. If you look at the way he has transcended, you understand, from his political party that was formed far back, that is the UDM, he left the UDM, became a member of the APC, and also we've seen his role in parliament, right? And we know that there was an activity, a political activity in Sama Bendugu, right? And his arrest was actually carried at that particular time because of the fact that I think his convoy, or the convoy that he found himself, was actually blocked. And to them, they consider it fit and wise that they should bulldoze because that was their time. Probably they might have thought that it was an intimidation, a political intimidation on them. So after a particular period of time, I think he went to court to accompany Samuel Kamara, I stand to be corrected. And it was thereafter, or during the process, that he was arrested. Right. In fact, there were so many rumors, a lot of things said about his arrest and detention, right? But it's not all about him being arrested. It's about what the rule of law says. It's about equality before the law, you understand? It's about the fact that the law itself has its own principles, right? And if we don't follow the law as it ought to be, then there is also tendency for chaos to occur in society. That's why I said that all governments that we've got in this country, they have all committed the same offenses. You understand? Even before this party came to power, you understand? That is the SLPP.
Right.
And during the APC itself, we've seen certain members of the SLPP that were arrested. The case of Liman was one, you understand? But again, we need to take into consideration about the magnitude, right? And also because of the fact that we should not look at the past, you understand, to punish people in the present. We look at the past, we compare it to the present for the benefit of the future, right? And we've seen situations within this period. We've seen a huge lot of arrest and detention. People have taken over 1 year, over 2 years in prison. Look at the case of Kamarimba, right? Of course, Kamarimba himself, according to government, Kamarimba is not a political prisoner. Yeah, you have to look at it in a particular context.
Right.
You will agree with the government that is not a political prisoner. But again, you have to look at it in another form. You understand? Whether that source of him not being a political prisoner is true or not. Because of the fact that he has been granted bail, despite the fact that he was arrested and he was detained for a very long period of time before the bail itself. It was after a year before the bail itself came. You understand? And after he was granted bail, he was denied bail. And I see no reason why laws and bail requirements or conditions should be so stiff. You understand? Once you make it that way, you allow people to raise eyebrows. You make people to raise suspicion and distrust that although this person committed this offense, you understand? But you have to look at the case of Kamarimba, wherein other people have committed similar offenses. We have seen situations wherein people have committed even murder cases. They have gone to court. At the end of the day, they were bailed. So when these things, you understand, are not actually put in a just equilibrium, there is all room. You create a room for people to become suspicious of the fact that justice is being manipulated. And we don't have to manipulate
Continue
justice.
to stay with me, gentlemen. The fact that we do not have the Sierra Leone police represented here, the police issued a statement on June 14, 2022, when the incident took place. So let me just run through that press statement. Sierra Leone police press statement saying, the attention of the Sierra Leone police has been drawn to a tweet published by Dr. Samuel Kamara, alleging thus, I am again being blocked from exiting constituency 056. The sitting government has mobilized military and prison vehicles and threatening to shoot and cite and arrest every APC supporter. Now, in response thereof, the management of the Sierra Leone police would like to state the following facts. 1, the Honorable Vice President was on a walking visit to the Benya mines situated in Bumbuna, Samaya Bendugu Chiefdom from June 9th to the 11th, 2022. 2, on the day 11th June 2022, he was exiting the chiefdom. The regional police commander of the Northeast region was informed that Dr. Samuel Kamara was en route to Samaya Bendugu in constituency 056 to participate in an All People's Congress campaign rally slated for that day. 3. Considering the very challenging terrain from Bumbuna to Samaya Bendugu and envisaging that anything could trigger a public disorder situation from any of the groups, either along the road or anywhere they could meet. The regional police commander contacted the Tonkolili District Council chairperson, who incidentally doubles as the former district chairperson of the APC, Madam Yabom, and prevailed on her to persuade Dr. Kamara to defer his visit to the chiefdom. 4. The action of the regional commander was predicated on 2 things. A. Dr. Samura Kamara, being a senior citizen, may likely travel with an entourage he might not have full control over their actions. B. Dr. Kamara himself was not amongst the automatically qualified members, that is to say, indigents of Tonkolili district and national officials of their party, that could freely enter constituency 056 and campaign therein, as per the arrangement of the Political Parties Registration Commission, excluding people outside the district to engage in campaign for any of the parties. C. Verify and ascertain intelligence of weapons transported to Samaya Bendugu. Now, 5 is saying, sadly though, Madam Yabom misconstrued the whole situation and instead threatened and insisted that Dr. Samura Kamara would unfailingly head for Samaya Bendugu on that day. 6. Not very long, a huge group of supposedly APC supporters, including Dr. Samura Kamara, arrived at the police checkpoint, wanting to pass through and proceed to Samaya Bendugu. And 7, the regional commander then decided to engage Dr. Samura Kamara and explained to him as to why it was not advisable for his followers to proceed to Samaya Bendugu at the material time, which were A. for his safety and security, B. to prevent a public disorder, given that the vice president was on his way out of the chiefdom they were heading to. 8. Whilst discussions were ongoing, Honorable Mohamed Bangura, who was part of the group of APC supporters, instructed his driver to ride over the regional commander if he dared stop them from bulldozing their way to Samaya Bendugu. And 9, it would interest the public to know that the regional commander was only saved by stroke of luck. Otherwise, he would have been a dead man by now, as the driver obeyed Honorable Bangura's instruction and drove the vehicle directly towards him, and he had to sustain injuries. 10. At this point, they all bulldozed their way through the checkpoint and 2 other checkpoints and drove to Samaya Bendugu. Whilst returning, it was the same bulldozing tactic that they applied as they were stopped to search their vehicles. 11 is saying all the actions of Dr. Samura Kamara and APC supporters on that day and place were aimed at provoking the police to act otherwise. It's interesting that the police finally is saying that the police leadership would like to reiterate that the SLP has primacy for the maintenance of law and order in the state, as enshrined in Act Number 7 of 1964. We therefore call on all political parties, their leadership, and followers to respect the statutory and constitutional responsibility of the police and to submit to its authority when appropriately required to do so. Be reminded that the law is no respecter of person, neither anyone is considered to be above the laws of the state. The law enforced by the police will therefore hold everyone to account for his or her actions deemed to have been breaches, violations, and or infractions of the law. The allegation by Dr. Samura Kamara to shoot and cite and arrest every APC supporter is false. As an organization responsible to enforce relevant laws, we believe that every man is considered to be responsible for the natural and probable consequences of his acts. Arrests by the police are always preceded by allegations of someone having committed a crime or being about to commit. Sierra Leone Police Media and Public Relations Department, Police Headquarters, George Street, Freetown, dated 14th June 2022. So it's quite long, and I'm sure was boring as well, going through all of that. I mean, for you, our lovely audience, but we do not have the police represented here. We tried getting a representative, but the police made it very clear in that press statement, Lawyer Dumbuya, that, I mean, whilst the altercation, the entourage was being stopped, Honorable Mohamed Bangura mentioned, in fact, instructed his driver to bulldoze. In fact, I do not want to use that word, but if the regional commander dare stop them, the driver should just bulldoze. And that was what the police is saying. The driver heeded, the driver followed, stricto sensu, the instructions of Honorable Mohamed Bangura.
Firstly, let us analyze. Let us really analyze the press statement with regards to that specific aspect.
Yes.
That Mohamed Bangura instructed his driver to bulldoze.
Right.
And to hit the regional commander if necessary.
Yes.
Now, you ask yourself this question. You know, sometimes as lawyers, sometimes you in analyzing certain things, you need not necessarily be a lawyer. Was really the regional commander who was at the checkpoint? Was he the one at the checkpoint? You ask yourself the question, was he the one at the checkpoint? Were there other police officers at the checkpoint? Secondly, I can tell you that according to my client, he was not in the vehicle. In fact, he was with certain police officers, appeasing them, trying to plead with them. When the vehicles went through, he was not in the vehicle when the vehicles went through. Assuming that vehicles went through, you know, in a convoy. Mohamed Bangura's vehicle was amongst that convoy. So you are telling me that you are picking one vehicle, that instruction was given to one driver in one vehicle. What about all the other vehicles who went through? Why Mohamed Bangura? If it was a single vehicle that went through the checkpoint, that would have been plausible. Maybe even if it was not true, but you will begin to say that's good reasoning. But for you to begin to reason that way, to say Mohamed Bangura instructed his driver when he was outside the vehicle, and this vehicle went in a convoy, and only one driver was given instruction, is completely implausible. I don't know if you see what I'm getting at. It's completely implausible. And, sorry,
yes.
Let me say this again.
Go ahead.
That day was assigned to the All People's Congress political party. And it was really the duty of the police to have been able to provide the security that was necessary for the rally or for the president's visit.
But the police made it very clear in the press statement that because the vice president was exiting the chiefdom, that the APC, had its rally, they prevailed on the chairperson of the council, who, according to them, incidentally happens to be the former regional person of the party. But she threatened and told the police, no, unfairly.
Let me say this without going into the press release.
Yes.
I was also one of the people who represented the chairperson, because she was called to the police at CID.
Right.
She was there, and they took statements from her, and she was detained for a day or so, or two. She was detained for a day or two. And according to her testimony, that day, whilst I was there with her, and she was making her statements to the police, she said to them that that was the day for the APC to rally. And you are telling me to tell Dr. Samura Kamara not to come to the rally, to enter. and the man is already here. You have his number. That's what's her statement. You have his number. That man is also a statesman. Call him and explain to him, because you are also responsible to talk to him. So why would the chairperson be the one to tell Dr. Samura Kamara the status of what the police wanted that day? And rightly so. Rightly so. That was the correct thing for the chairperson to have done, to tell them that you have to talk to Dr. Samura Kamara. And
the police also mentioned that Dr. Samura Kamara, in fact, was not supposed to be there. I mean, it was not one of those accredited by the party or indigene or an indigene of the chiefdom.
I disagree with you. Accreditation.
That's what the police is putting out.
Yes, but that to me, that's I don't know. Maybe they don't understand electioneering process. Accreditation is really on the day of the elections. When the elections are held, you would be accredited to go to a polling station and XYZ, as the case may be. But when it comes to rallying, campaigning for a particular candidate, there is no restriction as to who will be coming from any part of the country to go and support that candidate. And that is where the police went wrong, in thinking that because Dr. Samura Kamara was not an indigene of Tonkolili, and because he was not given the permission to go, he doesn't need the permission. No one in the APC needed the permission to go and support their candidate whom they wanted to be a member of parliament in constituency 056. So that again, you see, when people want to change the narrative, when people don't want to come forward with the reality to say, this is the position, this is where we went wrong, we ought to have done this, people want to shift the blame to someone else. In the country, as I have realized, people always, when they have issues in their hand to deal with, they want to pass it on to another person. They don't want to accept responsibility. The responsibility is that the police ought to have acted prudently that day. They did not. If you look at the clip, you will see that officers of the APC were trying to plead. They were appealing to the police to allow them to go through. If they had allowed them, they would have gone through. There would have been no problem. Dr. Samura Kamara has been going all around this country with convoy. There had been no problems whatsoever.
Was it not as a result of prudence that the police tried stopping the entrance of Dr. Samura Kamara? Because we are all aware of how, our political situation is volatile and how intolerant we can be, especially between APC and SLPP. So, looking at the deputy leader of the SLPP, who doubles as the vice president of the Republic of Sierra Leone, coming from where Dr. Samura Kamara was heading, I mean, if they had clashed, would that not have created, a bigger problem?
Let me say this to you. We in the APC were very responsible people, and we are tolerant, and we also appreciate the fact that the vice president is the vice president. If for any reason they had clashed on the way, I believe that Dr. Samura Kamara would have advised his entourage to give the vice president way, so to allow, so that there would be no clash, no clashes. So we must not begin to read, even as police officers, we must not begin to read violence into certain people because of their political affiliations. We must not say because this man is a member of the APC party, so I'm going to just paint him as somebody who's going to be violent. Let us trust each other and realize that this country is one country and we must be able to accommodate each other. It's because we do not want to accommodate each other that is why the problem happened that day.
At this point, what do you look forward to seeing now, especially with regards the detention of Honorable Mohamed Bangura?
What I am expecting for the government, even the president and the vice president, is for them to have even advised the police.
Police is an independent institution.
No. I agree with you. They can accept the advice, they can't. It's up to them. But to have advised the police to say, look, if that is a bailable offense, don't keep any political person.
What if they are not
in
aware?
detention.
What if they are not even aware of the issue, the arrest and detention?
Let me tell you, the arrest and detention of Mohamed Bangura is not a secret. It is a known fact in the entire country. I am very well assured and comfortable here speaking that the president, as I am speaking now, is aware of the detention of Mohamed Bangura. The vice president is aware. The government is aware of the detention of Mohamed Bangura. They should advise the police that whenever, forget political detainees, whenever somebody goes to the police station, if that person is entitled to bail and if he can be able to meet the bail condition, that person ought to be granted bail. And as I say, we do not have two Sierra Leone. We only have one Sierra Leone, and we must be able to treat this country with respect. We are all one, whether you are Mende, Timini, Limba, Loko, Kuranko, Irunka, Madingo, whatever you are, Fula, you know, we are all one. This country, we are all related. Politics come and go. Let us be able to build Sierra Leone for our children and generations yet unborn. Let us not allow politics to kill the very fabric of Sierra Leone. Let us not allow politics to destroy the nucleus of the very existence of Sierra Leone.
But this very politics that is being demonized is only, but a means of acquiring power practiced by you, the very politicians. So are you not the problem?
No. For me, I am not the problem. In any vocation, occupation you find yourself, you have people who are dishonest, you have people who are honest. You have people who have ulterior motive or clandestine motive. You have people who are genuine and forthright to what they are doing, whether you are a lawyer, president, minister, member of parliament, doctor, and also journalist. You have good journalists, you have bad journalists. So wherever you are as a politician, we have to be truthful to this country and make sure that we tolerate each other. And also, I am pleading with the police now that Mohamed Bangura is not the only person that has been detained. I am also representing Medkay, who has been arrested for more than 20 days. He was arrested before the protest. We do not know what the charges are for now. I have not been able to gain access to Medkay for 20 days. I do not know the state of affairs of Medkay. His wife called me from the United States. He's been worried. In fact, she's been so worried that maybe Medkay is no longer existing.
All right, stay with us. Interesting. With all of this narrative, Marcos, with all of these narratives, what should we, prioritize now, if at all we're serious as a nation with justice, the rule of law, and keeping the peace and quiet of Sierra Leone in the build-up to 2023 elections?
Yeah, of course, we are not too far to the 2023 elections, and we all know that the present development that is taking place, ugly development, it is as a result of the fact that we are moving towards elections. Because if you look at Sama Bendugu, it's about elections, right? It is but prudent that Sierra Leoneans begin to rethink. We need to think about lost time. We've lost so many things. And for the mere fact that we have lost so many things, we should take into consideration the fact that time waits for no man. So because of this, if you look at the Ebola crisis, Corona came, the flood incidents, the issue of corruption, the issue of maladministration, bad governance issues, these are things that have existed for some time, for quite too long. But there is a need for us to actually put all hands on deck to ensure that we transform, the situation. That was why when this government came to power with the New Direction slogan, I've always said that it was a divine intervention because of it was about a new direction. And except where one is blind or is reluctant to accept the fact. But the thing is, from independence, I don't want to talk about before independence, when there was that kind of division between the Creoles as well as the people of the protectorate, right? That was after the 1947 constitutional proposal, when there was, the Creole thought that the British government wanted to concentrate on the protectorate people. I look at independence, at the eve of independence, the seed of discord was nursed, right? And that seed of discord that was nursed, it also took effect in 1967, that led to coups and counter-coups. And it was this period that democracy itself, right, was totally destroyed. Because where one party had won election for one term and won another election, if another party win an election, then it's their responsibility to make sure that the trend goes. And all that led to the rebel war itself. And it seems as if Sierra Leoneans are still in oblivion. We have not learned from the past, right? We've got the civil war, we know the circumstances that led to that, the question of injustice, and huge lots of things. And the new direction came, and we are expecting that there will be total transformation, right? But yet, we are still facing, you know, a lot of problems, right? And my civil society, say, for example, we look at accountability. And the issue of accountability, we need feedback, right? And where there is an omission, when a state official or say a political party, right, and fail to perform a function, or perform a function but perform it excessively, understand? We come into question that particular individual or that particular organization. That is why when somebody stated that civil society usually come when it talks about politicians, except where one is totally blind and doesn't know the activities that Citizens Forum for Democratic Accountability has been playing. We look at all aspects, not about politics now. It's about the law. Let's put politics aside. Let's take Mohamed Bangura as an individual, as a Sierra Leonean, right? And let's look at the circumstances under which, right, he's now at the CID, and the fact that there has been failures, you understand, to actually charge him or give him access. Apart from Mohamed Bangura, we also have a large number of people languishing at Padema Road, you understand? And these are all the problems that we are concerned about. Okay. And that is why I was moved when the president himself decided to form an investigative team. Because in my press release, and C4D press release, we mentioned that, right? And even at that, again, we need to look at it, we need to scrutinize it, we need to sieve it so that the rough particles will be got rid of. It is the smooth particles we use as a certain fact, you understand, to actually reach at a particular point. Okay. So this, you read the police
press statement.
Press statement. Of course, I have always frowned at politicians, right? Attending rallies at a particular point, right? Of course, there is a difference between election day, right, and also rallies, although rallies should be open. I frown at it. But the fact is, let's reflect back. There was a time when, I can remember that, was it a constituency or by-election at Putloko, understand? Putloko district, right? We saw even the First Lady, you understand? We saw other people at that particular constituency, right, or ward, right? Then at the same time, at Sama Bendugu, we also saw stakeholders of the APC, right, being there. I frown at that, but I look at a just equilibrium. I look at justice. What is good for one person should also be good for another person.
All right.
So in all this, in conclusion, right?
Quickly, please.
I'm calling on Sierra Leoneans in general to ensure that we consider ourselves as one people. I call on the government to actually advise the police, though you said it's an independent institution.
It's what the law is saying.
But a government is like a generator or a car. It is made up of various parts.
Right.
And there is control of central power in the hands of one person. And this person delegates authorities to other institutions. When it comes to appointment, it's the president that appoints. Okay. So you can't dissociate the two.
All right. Thank you very much. Adumbuya, finally,
yes,
what would be your parting shots?
Yeah, briefly, I don't know if you have the time. I would just want to address the issue of this committee that has been set up, or set up yesterday. And I want to advise the committee, because the thing is, I noticed that the names of some responsible people, I have to be honest with you, I trust are in the committee. And I want to admonish them at this point in time to take their responsibilities very seriously.
Okay.
Even though I have my own take on the timing of the establishment of this committee, that it was established after almost 20 days or so. But the police have gone a long way in their investigations. They have taken statement from several people. What is this committee going to do with those statements? Are they going to require the information from the law officers department or the police so that it can aid them? Or are they going to go on a new platform and try to get their own information?
We would ascertain all of that when we deal with that committee.
And finally, I want to advise all and sundry in Sierra Leone for us to take our civic right very seriously, and for each and every Sierra Leonean to come out, be you in the APC, SLPP, PMDC, NGC, on the 3rd of September. It is your civic right, it is your human right to come out to begin that process to register for the elections. Whoever you are going to vote for later on, we the politicians will canvass you. But I appeal to you not to be afraid, to come out and make sure that you are registered for the election on the 3rd of September.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. It's been a pleasure having both of you here this morning, and this is all we have time for in this particular segment.